All right, so now that we have made a theme, and you can make as many themes as you want, I'm going to go back to page layout and I'm going to go to my greens and blues theme. And that's just mostly different shades of green and blue that I work with commonly. And we're going to go ahead and we're just going to fill in our colors. So for now, we're just going to, same thing we did earlier, control or command click. I work on both Mac and Windows, so I'm used to both. But command click just to highlight everything that we want to fill and possibly change. We don't want that, so we'll just click that to unselect it while we're holding the command button. And just keep going and pick a color. I like this sage, so I'll go with that. Oh, that was the letter. We want to do the paint bucket fill. There we go. So now we have our pattern filled with the color of the yarn that we're working with. But let's say I want to change the theme and I want to change these colors to reds and pinks. What's great, what makes this work is that these colors are actually tied to the location that they're in the actual theme. And so if these theme colors change, the colors that are actually in our spreadsheet changes. So if we just go back to page layout and we go to colors, and let's change our themes to our pinks, red, orange, and yellow that I created. And boom, it swaps it all out. Because these colors got swapped. Okay, but let's say that you want to swap out this bright red and this coral and see what that looks like. This pattern's pretty simple, so it actually wouldn't be too hard to just command click and refill everything. But let's say you're working with a more complicated pattern, like a Fair Isle pattern, where that would be much more of a pain to do. What we can do is to make another theme that swaps those colors in their locations over in our paint bucket theme, which will automatically swap them in our spreadsheet. So what we'll do is we'll actually go back to our PowerPoint and go back under the design, into our themes, expander tool, go to colors, and you want to make sure that you have the theme that you want to edit selected. So select that, open it back up. That's what we have selected. So we want to go hit customize colors again. And what we're wanting to do is to swap this bright red in this coral, and luckily we already actually have the bright red in the followed hyperlink, because remember, the hyperlinks don't actually show up in our paint bucket theme. And so that's there as a placeholder. So what we can do is then move the coral by clicking and dragging it up and replacing it in the red by releasing. And then move the bright red to the coral location in accent 4. Click, drag, release, and now these are swapped, and they'll be swapped in the theme versus the other theme. So we're going to rename this knitting red, pink, new. You can name it whatever you want, but that's just an easy way for me to remember. Hit save, and then if we go back to our Excel spreadsheet workbook, and we go to page layout again and go to colors, we have our new theme, and we can swap between these two, which automatically swaps the colors because of the location that they are in the paint bucket is tied to what's being filled. This is a wonderful way to be able to quickly visualize what it looked like to determine where you want your colors, even if you know the theme of the colors that you want to be knitting in, but you don't know the location of what you want. This is a fast way to visualize it. And honestly, if I were knitting, I think I would actually pick this location. So that was extremely helpful because it was not the theme that I had already in place.